Hello everyone, this is my entry for E3cube Store's Mod Master Contest. So let's get started. First, I received the cube and unboxed it. It was a little bit bigger than I had expected. Soon after receiving it, I removed the stickers. Unfortunately, I forgot to hit record. Then I got some sandpaper and started to disassemble the cube. Then when it was fully disassembled, I started to sort the pieces. Then when I had all the pieces fully sorted, I started to sand them. I started off with simple modifications. I would soon find out this was not near enough. Here you can see the first version of my modifications. As you can see, it is very simple and I have not done very much to it yet. At that point, I started to use this carving tool to cut grooves in the pieces like a ghost hand puzzle. This method is to reduce the friction in the cube. Here you can see my first version of the grooves. As you can see, they are very curvy and not very good. And then it was back to cutting and sanding, and then I was done modding for that day. But I had some target practice to catch up on. And then I was done for a while. But don't worry,
I'll be back.
And then over the next few days, I was cutting, sanding, spot checking all of my pieces. Each edge piece took me about 5 to 10 minutes. Each corner piece only took about 3 minutes. It was not too long before I needed a new piece of sandpaper because of all the plastic residue on the old piece. And then I was finally done sanding, cutting, and modifying all the pieces to my cube. Then I went inside and filled up a container with warm water and gathered up all the pieces and put them in it. I'm sorry about how weird that last part sounded. I honestly have no idea what happened. And after about half an hour, I took them out and sanded them on a wet piece of sandpaper to get them as smooth as possible. After that, I refilled the container and soaked them again. After another half an hour or so, I took them out and dried them thoroughly. I dumped the water out and dried each piece individually. At that point, I started to reassemble the cube. Having no idea if my mods would work, I was pretty nervous. My first impressions were not very good. So I did relube the cube with your lube and set it out to dry overnight. And now it is time for the stickers. So I got a razor blade and started to remove the ones off of the QJ cube and putting them onto the new cube. Then I finished the red side, the white side, blue side, the yellow side, green side, and the orange side. And then I was finally done stickering the puzzle. Now it is time for some solves. This is my very first solve. As you can see, I got a pretty bad time. They did improve quite a bit over time. I solved this cube a lot. I solved this cube with one hand, with the other hand, one cube in the with another cube in the other hand, blindfolded, one-handed in the car. I did do it with both hands in the car, but it didn't really work out. Okay, so now I'm just going to give you a quick review and an overview of the modifications I did to this puzzle. Now, I know you already saw the ones in the thing, but you didn't really get to see the pieces too well. First, I'll do turning. The turning on it did improve quite a bit after I modified it. And, you know, I have found that your guys' lubricant works really, really well in some puzzles and not so great in others. This was one of those not so great ones. The lube really didn't help it at all, but modifications did help it quite a bit. The popping on this cube, it pops a lot. I mean, almost every solve, it pops really easy, and it's quite annoying. But I did use a little anti-pop mechanism that I came up with, and I have reduced the pops by about 82-85%, I'd say, somewhere in that range. So on corner cutting, it can corner cut easily with my modifications. Almost one full QB. That there, that's almost one. Pretty easy. One. In some places it will cut one, like right here, but in other places it won't, because obviously hand modifying a cube, you won't be as precise as a machine would be. So now I will take the cube apart and show you the modifications I did. Okay, I did as many modifications as I could to this cube to reduce friction. I used these little grooves, as in a ghost hand puzzle, and I also did some other modifications. First, I'll start with the corners. So I went for more of a Lin Young type of corner. This corner isn't very good. It was one of the first I did, I believe. You can see it a little bit better. I did sand it by putting the sandpaper on the edge and going like that, which gave it the curviness, which does help the corner cutting. And I did also sand down the tip, and that helps reduce friction. And here, this is an okay corner. You can see that there. And yeah, I did do some other, I did shave this part a little bit more precisely than it was with molding, and I also took all the flash away from the modding with my carving tool. And I did a few minor modifications to the core. I really wanted to put new springs in here, but you said you couldn't use any parts from any other cubes, so I decided just to leave those springs in. I also thought about taking the springs out, but I then decided that would leave the cube pretty much uncorner cuttable, maybe a little bit, but it would be pretty inferior quality. And now on to edge pieces. You can see to start, I just shaved that off right here on this to reduce friction, and I did do the shaving on the edge parts, like on the corners. And there you can see the grooves that I put in. The grooves weren't very precise, some are better than others. I have a ghost hand too right here, and you can see the grooves are going different ways. But this color of cube doesn't show up well in the light. But yeah, you can see the similarities between the two. And the stickers I use on this cube are from a QJ 3x3. I didn't have time to make an order to CubeSmith due to the deadline of the contest, so I decided to use stickers from Cube, and the stickers on QJ puzzles seem to come off and go onto other cubes quite nicely, so that is why I decided to use one of those. And one more quick thing real quick, I did attempt sawing this off on one of the pieces, but because my more precise hacksaws are both broken, using a regular saw didn't really work, so I had to just sand it all down, which was quite time consuming. Now for a quick size comparison, I have here a Diane Lin Young version 1, and as you can see, it is a bit bigger. Let me just zoom in real quick. There you go. So you can see it is probably about a millimeter or two bigger than this cube, and being that it is larger than a normal cube, the stickers didn't fit on it real well. They're a little small, but that's okay, and some of them didn't really turn out. That one's the worst, but I did try and glue it. It worked for most of it, but there's that little part still. I'll just get that off. I really wanted to use Jiggler in here because that would speed this up quite a bit, because it has this very laggy feeling, and it's just not very nice. And now this is really long, so I'm going to kind of wrap this up. The times I've been getting have been between 20 and 25 seconds on this cube, and I'd normally get about 13 to 20 seconds on a normal cube like the Diane Lin Young. So obviously this cube is quite a bit slower, and the pops do factor in quite a bit of time and consume a lot of it. You could see I did solves there. I just solved this cube one-handed. I did with my feet, but you know, that didn't really work, the camera angle and everything. overall, I think this is a okay modification. I really hope you like this video, even if you don't pick it as the winner. I had a fun time. It was a fun challenge to modify a cube. I've always wanted to see how well I could mod like a Rubik's brand cube to be a good speed cube, and this was a nice little challenge for me. And being that it was only a $4 cube, I didn't really care if I wrecked it. And so yeah, and just a note, it does do reverse corner cutting a little bit. Normally it does that, but you know, depending on where it is, again, it'll cut better than other places. And that only has to do with the corners. So my corner modifications did help it do reverse corner cutting, which is cool. So yes, I really hope you have enjoyed this video, and there will be a time lapse of the entire modification time and everything, and there'll be a link on the cube. Once I get that done, I'm going to put it to music that I made and stuff. So yes, I hope you will watch that when I'm done. So this has been my video on the Mod Master contest with the Terminator cube. And I have never actually seen the Terminator movie, so, you know, didn't really know anything about it. So, yeah, that's it. Thanks for watching. Bye.